Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I've got some low tier gameplay which might appeal to some of you. It's one of my most frequently asked things for me to feature on the channel is lower tier gameplay, and I know I was in the Object 140 the other day, so I was looking around and I found some gameplay in a tier 4 German heavy tank. Now, this is the DW2, and I won't even try to pronounce this in German because I just can't do it. I seem to mess it up every single time for some reason. Now, this vehicle is one of the ways to get towards the E100, and I believe you can go all over the place in the German line. This might even lead on towards something like a Maus, possibly one of the ways, or alternatively I think up towards the E50M. All you really need to know at tier 4 is that even though it is one of, if not the lowest heavy tanks in the game, it doesn't really live up to its name as such, with only 50mm of frontal protection. Now 50mm is okay, but something like that, a Lux on the enemy team, is easily going to be able to go through me because he's got like 80 or 90 with that little pop autoloader that he has. Now, one of the good things about having 50mm of all-round protection on this tank is that some vehicles don't have 50mm of penetration, and against tanks like that you can do exceptionally well. For some reason that Lux didn't really want to shoot me. You could see I was trying to focus and keep my armor angled towards him, hopefully at about 45 degrees there. I thought that I might be able to ricochet most of his shells if I was able to do that, but he just drove past. Maybe he just gave up, maybe he didn't like the matchup. Actually, what am I talking about? He's top tier. This is the most amazing matchup for a Lux. Man, if I had a Lux in this matchup, I would be licking my lips at the start of the game, just looking for all of those lovely juicy tanks that I could take advantage of. The Lux, obviously, with that 300 burst damage that the tank is able to do, an absolute beast. If for some reason you haven't already tried out that vehicle, you got to go for it. The Germans seem to have some pretty good low tier tanks going for them, right? Alright, so I just get hit by a Valentine 2, and I am not sure whether that is the Soviet light tank or is it the British light tank version of the vehicle. Funny story, the Valentine 2, the Soviet tier 4 premium light tank, was my first ever premium vehicle. And yeah, it does look like it is the... Is it the Soviet one? How am I even meant to tell? I don't even know right now. All I know is that the tank doesn't really have the best of turrets against the APCR rounds that this vehicle has, with 130mm of pen and 67mm. Wow. Well, what kind of a gold noob tank is this? I think it's good that I'm wearing my t-shirt today, right? The fact that this vehicle, if you do dab that 2 key, you just have double the penetration. I'm not messing around with a Valentine. I know how heavily armored that vehicle is. And that was my first, if it is the premium Soviet version, that was my first ever premium vehicle. And originally, that was the reward for playing in the closed beta of World of Tanks. They gave you a Valentine, ha ha ha. And originally it was pretty good. It's not like anything has changed about the vehicle, but just everything else has really got better. Every other vehicle has got better in the game that Wargaming have been releasing or updating and buffing, right? And the Valentine has kind of super preferential matchmaking, so this matchup is as bad as it can be for the tank. I don't know, can you get all tier... Well, all the same tier at tier 4 these days? I'm not sure about that. Okay, PZ1C, I don't know what he's doing. To be fair, at these kind of low tier games, I really don't know what many of these players are doing. And I'm just thinking, okay, nice weak point on top of the Valentine there. The bit that looks like corrugated iron is an absolute huge weak point on that vehicle, and you'll be able to go through it with everything. And oh, no, you're not escaping my Wrath M2 medium. And that's because, for some reason, the gun handling on this vehicle doesn't exactly feel like it's too bad. It's about the same as the unbuffed Progetto 64, 0.14 when turning the turret. And its accuracy, 0.39, that's not exactly terrible. And this vehicle, for some reason, has 1,750 DPM. I think a lot of people always vote for this tank in the tank poll to try and troll me, to make me feel like, oh, he's going to have a terrible game. But if you give me a gun like this at tier 4, and I've got 50mm of armor to still be able to keep myself in it to win in full 40 hit points, I don't really know what much more you have to do. Now, in the first 4.5 minutes of this game, we have picked up 5 kills, 1,150 damage. It's been a bit of a cracker. But now you are going to see the downside of this vehicle, and that is that it is painfully slow, ladies and gents. What's its top speed limit? Is it 35? That's not too bad. The problem is that the power to weight ratio on this tank is less than 10, so you're barely able to get up to that top speed limit. Now, talking about DW2s, it looks like there's one on the enemy team who's had a fairly okay game as well. He's picked up a kill, he's got all of his hit points left. I guess this Covenanter and also the Panzer IIIe, I don't really fancy that Covenanter's chances going in on the side there. I don't think that's going to work out very well. Maybe the Sav M43, is that the one that has those little derpy rounds? If he's firing heat with that tank, or even just high explosive rounds, that's going to take some big chunks out of the DW2. And it looks like the DW2 is surrounded because he takes a little bit of high explosive round damage there, I think from a Panzer IIIe, or maybe it was an armor-piercing round. The DW2 has had enough of that, drives right down the slope, finishes off the Panzer IIIe. The Sav asks for help and manages to penetrate him with a big old chunk of damage there. I don't think that was the Covenant, so that's got to be the Sav M43 there. And the DW2 is going to fall down momentarily to the Covenant, or not. Maybe he's going to go down to me. Oh, yeah, there you go. No, it was actually the Panzer IIIJ behind him that took him out. And now we're in a bit of a funny scenario here, ladies and gents. I'm on 5 kills, and there's a tier 3 German light tank on the enemy team that's also on 5 kills. And spoilers, this gentleman actually sent me his version of the replay, and so we're going to put it up. Where am I going to put it up on the screen? I'm going to put it up there, up in that corner. There you go. So you can see his perspective, and just look what is happening here with the Panzer IIJ versus this poor duck tank, the AOX-40. Has been shooting at him forever, and he's unable to do any damage to that poor Panzer IIJ. The only person who's been able to damage the Panzer IIJ so far has been other vehicles. That is not this tier 4 French light tank. And right now you see me driving along. I did not quite know what was happening with the Panzer IIJ and that duck tank at the time. But in retrospect, this has to be one of the funniest things that I've seen happen at low tiers in quite a while. I just can imagine the pure frustration of this poor Panzer, well, not the Panzer IIJ, well, I guess because he's kind of run out of ammo now, as we can see. The AMX-40 obviously bled him of all of his rounds and his premium rounds as well. He's unable to go into the tier 4 light tank. The tier 4 light tank is unable to penetrate this tier 3 German premium light tank, which has the same kind of armor as a KV-1 at tier 3, and you only get it for spending like, I don't know, like 100 euros on gold or something. An absolute filthy gold noob tank. And the Covenanter is going to go in to try and finish him off with a ram. But the Panzer IIJ is a heavy old girl. And at the end of the game, I figure out this guy can't pen me. Not even if he fires premium rounds, he can't go through my armor. And so I was thinking, okay, how can I finish this one off? I noticed the Panzer IIJ must have run out of premium rounds as well, because in the top left-hand corner, we can't, so we see that he hasn't got any APCR rounds. And so I decide, yeah, okay, it's about time that you're going for a drink. And the duck tank joins me in pushing him into the water. Then the duck tank shoots me as if, what did you do that for? We were having a fair fight. I pick up the kill there on the Panzer IIJ. The duck tank takes my tracks off as if I've stolen some kind of meal from him there. Buddy, I think you had a fair chance. And that's one tier 3 German light tank that's going to be sleeping with the fishes now. And while my game was fairly unexceptional for an experienced player playing a tier 4 vehicle in a top tier match, we get a cool headed medal for ricocheting at least 10 rounds in a row, a high caliber, a top gun. But what absolutely cracked me up, ladies and gentlemen, is that duck tank fired 101 rounds of ammunition and didn't manage to penetrate a single shot, with the Panzer IIJ blocking nearly 5,000 damage in this game. And I don't know whether I should really be laughing at this. This is kind of just an absolute pay-to-win gold noob tank, and maybe I'm laughing at the unfairness of it, but X135A2, thank you so much for being a good sport and showing me the replay from your perspective. It really was one of the best giggles I've had in absolutely ages in World of Tanks. And I hope all of you ladies and gentlemen out there enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, 597 of you voted in the tank poll, and the winner is It looks like it's a gold noob day, ladies and gentlemen. The Type 5 Heavy. So come along right now as I start at Tier 1 and work my way up to what is arguably the most beginner-friendly Tier 10 heavy tank in the game. And I hope I'll be giving you a few one-shots or at least a few tears on the enemy team. And if you've never been to one of my Tech Tree showcases before, it's basically like a tank review of the entire line, so you can see if it's a line that's maybe worth grinding, or if you've already picked up a few of the tanks, maybe pick up a few tips and tricks along the way. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.